everyone. Welcome to episode 2 of the Irish Bulls podcast, Jack in the Box. It's Ian McClure here, and I have with me my friend and co-host for the series, Chris Mulholland.
Good morning, Ian. Nice to be down in Portrush with the sun shining outside for a change.
Great to be here this morning. I say Portrush Bowling Club. We actually have a club member, believe this or believe this not, listeners. We have a club member out on the bowling green here trying a new set of bowls. Chris, you can testify to that I'm not making it up.
I can actually, and I also have to say that Greg looks to be running at the same speed now as it normally does in the middle of July.
Yes, I think it's running probably a nice solid 8 seconds, but there's no wind, so that's it. That's a bonus. So generally, folks, we're here to discuss all things Irish bowls, latest news, hot topics, events, and much more. We're going to introduce special guests, some experts, maybe some non-experts as well, and have some panel discussions. We're here really to try and promote bowls in Ireland and discuss things and take things forward accordingly. So moving on, folks, we have our international teams that are on the verge of being selected for the home international series in Llanelli in Wales in mid-March. I believe the ladies, Chris, is already selected.
Ladies is already selected. As we're recording, the men's final trial is tomorrow. So we wouldn't want to put any predictions on what team will come out of that. So I think
that's selection, Chris, after all.
Well, I think that's something that we'll probably leave, and we'll be able to discuss both teams then the next time we get together.
Sure. There's probably an episode, Chris, here to discuss the life and the workings and the thought processes of a selector.
I'm really not sure that's an episode too many people would want to be interested in listening.
Probably not. That's maybe one for a dark winter's night. And maybe we get Mr. Horner and Jackie Smith, Tommy Cheevers and Shea and these guys and some of the indoor Clifford and Rod Coleman and these boys down around the table.
That could be a long night.
It could be a long night. We might need a few alcoholic beverages on that one. We also have the Ladies National Championships, Irish, been played over the next couple of weeks. And we also have the Men's Championships. I believe, Chris, the Ladies Championships are not finalised at the moment.
No, not all the qualifiers are through, so we can't necessarily go through that. The ladies are being held in Belfast this year, and the gents are being held down in Ballybreaks.
Yeah, they're being held at Ballybreaks Community Indoor Bowling Club, my own surface in Ballymoney. So, Chris, as I've alluded to, I am going to put you onto the spot. I'm going to refer to you now as Mystic Chris. And I'm going to work through some of these formats and disciplines and ask you for your views and predictions. And then we'll go to Paddy Power and we'll see how much we can get on and how much you're going to get out of this. So I'm going to start off with the senior fours, Chris. We have Alan Roberts plays Colin Hogg, and we have Stevie Coleman and his rink playing Mike Merritt. So quick overview, Chris, and a prediction.
4 very strong rinks in the semi-finals. You have some previous winners. Colin Hogg's rink actually a couple of British Isles titles as well as Irish titles over the last recent years. Although I believe a slight change in the rink. He may have a new second there from what he had in some of the previous rinks.
Yeah, I think Nicky and Brian are both in.
Based on previous performances, still a very strong rink there. But you also have a rink skipped by Michael Merritt, with Raymond Barr playing third. And Raymond's a previous winner of the senior fours title as well. So I actually think this one's very hard to call. I know you won't let me sit in the fence.
Chris, I don't want splinters at this stage of the morning. No.
I'm going to go for my own club, and I'm going to say that Michael Merritt's rink are going to come out on top in that.
Interesting, Chris. Interesting. I'm sure that'll give some of the other competitors a real point to prove, which is what we want.
I'm sure next time I'm speaking to some of them, they'll remind me.
We'll move on to the junior singles. We have Jaden Kyle, who will be returning hopefully as a medalist from Hong Kong in the World Under-25s. Daniel Spratt, William Moore, and our Irish Aussie, Adam McKeown.
Yes, again, very interesting. 4 very good young bowlers. I think Adam's possibly 3 in 4 events. Jaden's 3 in 3. Daniel and William actually saw both playing in the pairs recently, and they qualified for semi-finals in that as well as the junior singles. So interesting. Just going, I think, on experience, and from what I've seen him play since he's come back from Australia, my tip for the junior singles would be Adam McKeown.
I think that's probably fair comment, I have to say. These young boys are getting quite greedy in terms of getting through in all these disciplines.
Well, it may just be they've a wee bit more stamina than you old people.
That's very true. Very true indeed. Okay, well, have a wee quick look at the fours, Chris. Interesting lineup. We have very strong former British Isles champions in Mark McPeak, Davy Corkle, Robbie Kirkwood, Stuart Bennett. They play Chris McKee's rink from Belfast. And then we have, again, Mr. McKeown and his rink of Jaden and the Rhino, Ryan McElroy and Jack Moffat. And they play my combination of Aaron Tennant, Ali Kennedy, Derek Smith. Now, Chris, be kind here, please.
Well, I'll be very kind. I suppose looking at the lineup, you have 3 rinks that you're probably not surprised are there, and not with any disrespect, but the rink from Chris McKee wouldn't be somebody who you would normally expect to be at that stage. But I wasn't at the playoffs, but I believe they played very well, Chris himself especially, playing well to get through. So they're obviously there in merit. Again, I think probably fancy Sturdy's rink to be too strong for Chris's rink in the semi-final. I actually think the other one's very close and hard to call. So I'm not going to call the other one. Because I'm going to say that Sturdy rink, I just feel is slight favourites to take that title.
Yeah, I couldn't disagree that Mr. Bennett doesn't go in with his feet bare.
No.
And he probably starts as favourite for that tournament.
I think anybody that plays all his competitions with Mark McPeak isn't going in with their feet bare, you could say.
Yeah, no, you can't accuse Stuart of being a silly man. Okay, we'll have a wee quick look at the triples, Chris. Again, Ryan McElroy, Jack Moffat, Adam McKeown are involved. They play Brendan Power, Mike Merritt, Jared McCleave. The other 2 triples are Stephen Valls, Nigel Robinson, Gary McCloy from the home club, who play Aaron Coleman, Mitchell Albert, and the experienced and top player himself, Mr. Stephen Coleman.
Yes, well, again, that's Stephen's second event that he's through in as well. Again, sort of a tough, 3, as you know yourself, triples can be a very strange game. That's one of the ones that's sort of harder to predict sometimes. But just looking at the lineups, I'm probably going to give Adam McKeown the nod there to come through in that triple. Although I'm going to throw Gary McCloy's triple in as a sort of an outsider based on the fact that they're on their own carpet.
Okay, cool. No worries. I'm taking note of these, Chris, just to let you know.
Thanks,
pairs semi-finals. We have the Young Guns combination of William Orr, Peter Hockey play the old campaigners, Mark McPeak, Sturdy Bennett. And we have the other Young Guns of Daniel Spratt and Jack Kidd, who play father and son combination, Jaden and Andrew Kyle.
Well, I was actually at the playoffs on Sunday of the semi-finals. Some very good play right across, and the 4 pairs that are through certainly deserving of their places. I suppose, everybody would tend to, looking at those 4, probably err towards McPeak and Bennett. They've been there, done it before. I think they'll be very hard to budge on it. But in saying that, some of the young ones were certainly playing, and I think, having watched that, Andy Kyle hasn't lost it yet either, so could spring a surprise.
Prediction, Chris? Missed it, Chris?
You're certainly pushing me in this. I'm going to have to go with McPeak and Bennett. I think it's very hard to see past them.
Okay, very low odds, 1-6. We move on to the open singles, the blue ribbon as such. And we have Ian McClure playing Stevie Kirkwood. And we have Mr. McKeown again playing your club colleague Raymond Barr.
Yes, again, a very strong lineup. People looking at that might be maybe slightly surprised that Raymond Barr is the name they may not expect to get there, but Raymond's somebody who's a very steady competitor, very hard player to play against, never gives up. So he's somebody that probably, personally, I'm not surprised is there, just plugs away. I think the semi-final with you and Stephen is a repeat of last year's final.
It is.
Which you obviously became victorious in a very close game. Based on the fact that you're on your own carpet, I'm going to give you the edge in that semi-final. And although I think Raymond will be very hard to beat, I'm going to give Adam the edge in that one as well. I suppose you're wanting my prediction on the...
Well, Chris, listen, I don't take offence. I've worked for you now for almost 10 years. So look, just call it as you see it.
I'm going 21-20. And I'm going to call you to just get that. And given that's based on you're playing in your own carpet, so I've no doubt you'll have spent hours and hours and hours practicing.
Right. Okay. Very good. Very good. Okay. So we'll draw a line. We'll draw a line to that. We'll just recap on Mystic Chris's predictions, folks. We have Adam McKeown for the juniors, myself for the seniors, pairs, McPeak and Bennett, triples, Adam McKeown's triple, fours, Belfast, Sturdy Bennett doing the double, and Mike Merritt picking up the senior fours. Chris, we will revisit this.
Well, I think if I manage 2 out of 6, I'll be quite happy.
We look forward, folks, to a good Irish finals at Ballybreaks Community Indoor Bowling Club over the next couple of weeks. We have with us today, once again, Adam McKeown. So after that Commonwealth Games, it seemed not that long until you disappeared to the land down under. How did that happen?
Yeah, so I went with three guys, Sam Barkley, Ali Coleman, Simon Beggs. It was really Ali and Simon who were thinking about it pre-COVID and leading up to 2022. And me and Sam sort of jumped on the bandwagon, so to speak. It was late 21. You know, we were four good mates anyway, and we met, had a few drinks, and we're thinking, should we do it? And we did. In March 22, I got my visa granted. Then we booked flights later on in the year. So yeah, seeing others going before us, Scott Jess was a close friend of ours too. And then seeing Andy Duncan, Gary Kelly, DJ Dilworth, and then before Ian McClure, Jeremy Henry, a lot of Irish players have had success down under.
Simon Little as well.
Simon Little, yes, the famous podcast. So for us, it was about having an experience, a holiday.
So you were going really for a bit of crack.
Yeah, we were going traveling for a couple of months and then living. Bowls was obviously going to be a part of it. We didn't know how much beforehand. We sent a lot of emails out to a lot of clubs leading up to, and one Wayne Turley, who previously had brought in Ian McClure and Jeremy Henry to Tyron Point, I think asked Ian and Jeremy, how were we as people? And thankfully we got a good answer.
Allegedly.
We didn't actually agree to join any clubs before we got there. We wanted to see what it was like, what the clubs were like, how the people were. And we went to a few clubs, Paradise Point, but then we went to Tweed Heads, and seeing that club just made our mind up.
Well, you say that in terms of seeing that club, and obviously you have a picture of that.
Yeah.
Share that picture with us very quickly. Just, what is Tweed Bowls Club?
Yeah, so probably the biggest bowling club in the country would be Belfast Indoor. I would say it's 4 times the size, maybe. It is 4 outdoor grass greens. It is an indoor green. It is 2 restaurants, butchers, a bakery, 2 bars.
Everything's covered.
Yeah, it looks like a spaceship at night when it's all lit up. But for us, listen, I met Emma Boyd at the World Under 25 Juniors, and she was assistant to Wayne, so I sort of knew the people they were, how honest they were. And when I met Turles, he didn't sugarcoat anything. He would say exactly what we would get or what sort of opportunities we had at the club, and it was a no-brainer.
Yeah, fantastic club, a great experience, and obviously I'm sure that has contributed greatly to your success at the World Championships, playing in the wind, playing in those really, really fast services as well. How did you actually, on a different note, earn your beer money?
Yeah, so we got jobs at the club. We had interviews with the CEO, Jared Robinson, who actually did a lot for us in the months after we landed, setting us up with a property, although we still had to sort of off our own backs, pay rent every week. He gave us jobs. They were basically a family away from home to
Fantastic.
us. So there's a lot of thanks, obviously, to Jared, Dwayne, and everyone at Tweed, but we still had to work I was working 6 to 2, it would have been. I worked on the greens mainly with Simon. Sam done some handiwork around the club, and Ali was in the cellar. So yeah, we all sort of...
Ali was in the dungeon.
Ali was in the cellar.
Good place for him, I say.
He is around the beer. Yeah.
A few kegs.
But yeah, it was just like a normal life for us. We didn't want to be, different to anyone. We're part of the club. We're a member. So yeah, we didn't really want to feel any different, and we had the true Aussie experience.
Sure. I mean, it's great there, 4 lads going out just for the crack, really, being able to fit into bowls. That's what bowls can do, to allow you the experience of that. And obviously, you can take that to a further level, but to have that fun experience to start with, we know that Sam's already staying out there. Ali and Simon come home, and you're sort of in between. So absolutely fantastic. And I know Turles well, obviously a great ambassador for bowls and indeed for Australia itself. I'll tell you a quick story about him. I don't know if you've ever heard this one. Obviously, rugby league is very popular in Australia, and he's a big Tiger supporter. I think, is it the West Tigers they call it?
West Tigers, right? Yeah.
So West Tigers. So when Jeremy and I were at Tarn Point, 07, Turles had a massive tiger in his office. Massive tiger. He loved this tiger. This tiger came out every Friday night, every Saturday night, and he would, pet it and all this. Tigers were playing, blah, blah, blah. So one evening, and there may have been a few beers taken at that particular time. So Jeremy and I decided that we would cut the tail of this tiger. So we cut the tail of the tiger, and we got a pot or a beer glass, as they call it out there, and we stuffed the tail in the beer glass, and we put it in his office. And that guy was absolutely raging. For months and months and months, he was so cross, but he couldn't prove it was us that did it, but he probably did. So a wee funny story that you can share with Turles.
He's a good guy.
He's a fantastic guy, and we were very grateful for the opportunity that he gave us and to a number of Irish guys and girls. He's gave an opportunity to, indeed to Shauna as well.
Yeah, so there was actually 6 of us, and then 7 once Jack came. So yeah, the club was basically Irish. There were so many nationalities. Emma was Canadian. We had a couple of Japanese members. Such a diverse club. But yeah, another story would be us actually trying to get out to Australia. Might have never happened. We made the decision to spend 12 hours in Dubai, and most of the 12 hours were spent drinking in the sun.
Shock, horror.
In an Irish bar. So making that trip to the airport and thankfully on the plane for a couple of the 4 were pretty eventful.
I can imagine. I really can. So we're moving on, Adam, to the World Bowls 2023. Obviously, due to COVID, there was no World Championships since New Zealand in 2016. On the back of Birmingham and your gold medal success, you must have been pretty confident, let's call a spade, for getting selection for that event.
Yes and no. Selection. There's no...
An Irish selection? Is that what you're trying to say,
There's no
Adam?
guarantees in selection. And obviously, Sam and I, on the back of a gold medal in Birmingham, making the move to Australia to get that experience on the greens, it did benefit us, but it might have sort of not helped us in the fact that we weren't playing domestically, and others were putting time and effort going on trips to represent Ireland. So yeah, yes and no. Obviously for myself, getting the nod, getting the text message, it was great, but that soon went away when obviously Sam found out he wasn't selected. We were staying in the same unit. So yeah, it was bittersweet, I would say.
Yeah, I understand that. Obviously, been part of that 4 that won gold in Leamington. You would have, I don't think it's wrong to say that we would have imagined that 4 would have possibly won again. Obviously, Stuart Bennett came in, who's a great player in his own right and was pushing very hard to make all those teams over the last number of years. But it was probably still a shock, and especially for Sam. And I know all her thoughts and feelings went out to Sam at that particular point in time.
Yeah, nothing's taken away from Shirley. He's a great person, a great player, and he proved why he was selected at that Worlds. He was fantastic. Leading, he's not normally a lead. He played lead, and he was great. But yes, it was sort of a hard one to take. It was hard to sort of how you should act around it and what you should say. And ultimately, yeah, the bond we had as a 4, I thought we would get another shot.
Yeah, as I say, selection's a wonderful thing, and I have with me here former Irish selector, Chris Mulholland. Chris, have you anything to add to this topical debate?
As you said, selection is very difficult, no matter what who's taken. All I'll say is a lot of consideration was given to any of the teams that were picked. And as Adam said, coming up to the Commonwealth, he probably wasn't sure whether he was going to get picked for Birmingham or not, and got the nod, and so did Sam. They both went through a long process then, as everybody did. And I suppose fair to say at that stage, Adam was probably playing a lot of singles at that stage. So it was probably a debate, was he better with 4 bowls than he was with 2, which was something that would have been considered by selectors. And if he wasn't going to be playing singles and ended up Gary was playing the singles, was he going to be involved? But they obviously both proved they deserve to be selected. Not having Sam then picked for the World Championships was a very difficult decision. Obviously, there was a process went through there as well. People went away to various test matches and results were collated and looked at. And in the end, Steardy got the nod. But I think it's fair to say for any of the teams that go out, you have probably 7 or 8 people who are in contention. Unfortunately, you can only take 5, and there's probably 1 or 2 always who would be deserving of the place as well that just don't make it.
Chris, I love putting you on the spot, but that was particularly well answered.
Thanks very much.
So you've passed. You've passed. So moving on, Adam, obviously another tremendous tournament. World Pairs Gold with our legendary friend and colleague now, Mr. Gary Kelly, a.k.a. Sharp. Again, beating Wilson in the final and RTs. Tremendous to beat those guys in their own backyard.
Yeah, so playing that final in Helensville, those conditions are unparalleled to anything I've experienced before heading out. So just that experience on the greens, knowing how the wind affects the ball, knowing the speeds, knowing Gary's game. I think we first came together as a pair during the Multi-Nations in March. It was only the last couple of group games, I think. We actually were paired together. We ended up going unbeaten and winning. So that gave us a lot of confidence. Obviously, not knowing selection, was sort of had an idea that it would have been us two on the back of that. Then, yeah, a long campaign.
I think there was one, I'm going to interrupt you there was one particular moment in one game, I think, possibly against India, I don't know, whereby Gary had to play a bowl to keep you in the tournament, potentially. Yeah,
so even before that, we played Hong Kong, who are the only team yet to beat us. We played them at Mudraba in the tricky conditions. It just rained. The green wasn't flying, but it wasn't slow. It was a bit windy. It was a bit tricky.
Bit like Portrush.
Yeah. Just 30 degrees warmer. So yeah, that sort of took us off track. Then you're heading into the last game with one loss, and any other time you're thinking that should be enough, even if we do get beat, to get through. It was top 2 got through, but as it was, Hong Kong played India in the morning. If India won that game, we were through, but Hong Kong beat them to still give them a sniff. Then we played India, and we played great. We played a really good game. They just hung in. They got a 4 late on and ended up, I think we were all square last end. So it was either lose or win. They were line 1 and Gary played an inside draw on the forehand to displace Jack and snuck the shot. He missed. We went through.
Fantastic. And I remember watching that final from the stands, and a great final it was at Helensville. The green was pretty slick, but the twos put on a very dominant display after a slow start. You were 3 or 4-0 down, possibly.
Yeah, it was very, very tricky. You know, if you sort of explain to anyone over here those conditions, they wouldn't get it. You know, you'd have to play in it to sort of understand.
Obviously, having that experience of the previous number of months playing at Tweed was, I would say, significantly advantageous for you both. Gary and yourself, obviously Gary being there slightly longer. Yeah,
Tweed Heads is renowned as being a very windy place. It's, just off the shore. So you always get a breeze. It always changes. The speed of the green can get quick. I've played 20, 21 seconds. Helensville was running 19 maybe that day. So the first ball went sailing in the ditch as per. But yeah, even playing the likes of disco and tees, before I came to Australia, I would have probably been more nervous up against them two. Back-to-back Commonwealth Games, singles champion, Aaron Tees, he's won the Aussie singles when he was, a teenager. So yeah, but then I played a lot with Disco that year. Actually, I played third to him, so I knew sort of what he was about. I knew what shots he likes to play. I know TC, when he's on it, he's unbelievable. But on that day, it was hard to be on it. So it was just about trying to be consistent, give Gary the least, as little to do as possible. I think Gary only drove 1 or 2 times, which is pretty remarkable for him.
Very much so. Yeah, he likes to hunt. Obviously, that preparation then was pivotal. And obviously, the familiarity of playing against top Aussie opposition and being comfortable in that space really helped.
Yeah, absolutely. They're very, very hard to beat on their own greens. One thing I would say, in comparison to top level bowls here and in Australia, there isn't much difference in the quality. It's just the quantity of players they have. Every week, whether it be Premier League, whether it be pennants, a tournament, you're playing against top opposition. Whereas over here, maybe there's only 50 or 60 guys who are giving you top level competition. So not even playing against the Jackaroos, playing against people you wouldn't have heard of, but are so good over there, playing them week in, week out. Yeah, it gave us a lot of confidence. And we knew other countries, even coming over to Australia, was unnatural for them. So we had sort of the advantage over most. Obviously, playing Australia was sort of like a neutral game for us because, we were playing in those greens week in, week out.
So again, Adam, you're standing on top of that podium again. Gold in Leamington, gold in Broadbeach, Gold Coast, World Commonwealth champion. Wow.
Not bad. No, it was good. Yeah, it was really good.
It was really good. Okay.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Back to your old phrase. Yeah,
I would say, yeah, it was different. The crowds weren't as big. I noticed that. Stands weren't just as full. Commonwealth Games will be unrivaled. I don't think you'll ever get a feeling as good as that. But it was equally special winning a world championship, which technically is our highest level in bowls. So to be a world champion means so much. And yeah, they don't come around very often.
Yeah, I think from my perspective, they're equally as important. Obviously, one's a bigger event in terms of the Commonwealth and the publicity, and us in bowls don't get as much publicity in terms of our own events for our World Bowls type events. But we know that within the bowling world and the bowling environment, it's a mega, mega achievement. So many congratulations for us on that. Obviously, Ireland performed pretty well on both the men's and the ladies' side, with the men, I think you alluded to already, finishing second in the Leonard Trophy, and our girls, Sophie, Shauna and Chloe, capturing a bronze medal, all in the tender age of I'm going to say under 22, 21, under 21, very, very close. But overall, a fantastic tournament for Ireland.
Yeah, so many good memories came out of that. I think the day of our quarterfinal match against Wales, the girls were playing England and Catherine Rednell in the top green. And I think I asked a member of our coaching party, how are they getting on? And they shook their heads. No good.
I think there was something ridiculous. They were like 14-2 down maybe, or 10-2 down. Or...
Yeah, so coming off the green to find out they won, they didn't look like they've won.
You were very keen to know that result.
Yeah, obviously my partner Chloe, Sean and Chloe came out on the back of the multi-nations in March, so we spent a lot of time practicing together in the lead up. It meant so much for them to get that medal. They deserved it, the amount of work they put in, the level they were playing at. I think for us to sort of play both semi-finals on the same green beside each other against Australia was, I know the result didn't go our way, but it was pretty unique. Yeah, it was huge for everyone involved. History making for the men to medal in 4 events. But Gaza just cannot get that singles. He's, as well as he played that game, deserved probably the win. Yeah,
Ryan just pipped him, and obviously the guys had 2 silvers in the last 2 majors. I'm sure that will come. Again, not to overlook it, you did pick up a 4s bronze with Martin and myself and Stuart, which was another tremendous achievement. So yeah, things are going pretty good, Adam. Moving on, you're now working in Australia at that particular point in time, sort of October 23. You're a World Commonwealth champion in a bowling context. Can it get any better?
Probably not. Don't think those 2 or 3 years would be eclipsed. Winning the Irish singles and junior singles in the same year, and the Irish Cup and the Commonwealth Gold. I think I was the first to win the Irish junior and senior singles in the same year. Then obviously lifting my first Irish Cup, Commonwealth Gold, heading to Australia, and then a World Gold and Bronze. It's so good. It's such a good feeling. Even just to have it in your CV, you've done it.
It'll always be there, Adam. No one will ever be able to take it away from you at all. Now, the Aussies obviously love their sport, and they're so professional in everything they do. They love their sports stars. I do know that. So did you get much recognition at that particular point in time?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. Probably living there, not as much as them two, which is understandable because the household names they are. They're big personalities. They've been there, they've done that. But I would say, again, probably more respect within the Australian players when you're coming up against them, like the Sheriff and Lee Schreiner and Disco. When you draw them, they know that you're going to give them a good game. So I would say, again, more recognition from my peers rather than the general public. But that's understandable given how many quality players there are out there.
One thing I always noticed out in there in Australia in terms of the bowling fraternity, that the normal Joe Bloggs club member are very respectful. If you're half decent at this game, they do give you respect, etc., etc. Probably more than we give respect back home here in Ireland.
You put in what you get out of it, or you get out what you put in. But Tweed Heads is a huge club. There's 500 bowling members, so not everyone you're going to meet day to day, but yeah, they give you a lot of respect. They love you. They endorse you. They love international players. They see a lot of their own. So if something different, I think that helped the culture of the club, bringing us in and, putting us on the showcase for Tweed Heads. We represent them in many major sort of national competitions, and you're going away to like Warilla or maybe Helensfield, Broadbeach, you're representing the club. So you're endorsing them. Yeah, it is a very, very strange feeling, because back home maybe people are sort of hunting you down, gunning you down more than propelling you up. Whereas Australia, yeah, they just want the best for you, and there's so many good people out there.
Yeah, I think it's just a different culture. Basically, is probably the best way of putting it. In terms of our other two main men out there, and we have a number of players out there at the moment. We have Andrew, and we have Simon and DJ, etc., etc. But our two main men, as I would call it, Jeremy and Gary, obviously they're going great guns. I know Jeremy's just moved up to the Gold Coast from Warilla, and Gary's still down at Warilla. Just your thoughts on how they're perceived in Australia for our listeners.
Yeah, so Gary Kelly is adopted Aussie now. He got his citizenship. Many people probably wouldn't know he's Irish, the amount of bowls he plays over there and how long he's been there. He's obviously a BPL star. The BPL is the biggest product over there, so if you get into the BPL, everyone knows you. Gary gets a lot of attention, definitely. Jeremy is a legend. Many people think of him as that. He still has the ability. I was lucky enough to represent Warilla in the Platinum League, and as much as Jeremy probably didn't want to skip, Warilla made him skip because of the name, because of the legacy, and sort of the person he is. So yeah, full respect to them. They've put in the commitment of staying out there, and they deserve it.
And in terms, Adam, of the most significant difference that being in Australia has meant to you in terms of the development of your game, is it possible to put it into one word? Or
yeah, mindset, I would say. Every game is a challenge. Every game you have to be as level-headed, where be the opposition you're playing against. Maybe the etiquette isn't as strong as here in apologising for wicks or a good result. Sort of taking on board the wind and the pace of the green. There's a lot to combat over there. I would say the draw shot is so crucial, even more so than here. If you can find dead weight, you've got a chance every end. And then playing a lot with Wayne Turley, he was my third for 2 years. Basically every game I play with him. Such encouragement, such mentality. Slight arrogance and ignorance, but I think you need that when you play against the top guys, because they won't give you any room to play your stuff. So you have to act and play like you want to win and like you belong there.
Yeah, and you have to adjust accordingly, which obviously you're making a very good job of doing. Just to conclude that section then, really, Adam, you came home to the best country in the world, Northern Ireland. Tell us why.
Yeah, so I went to Australia on a working holiday visa, so I completed 2 years. I had 1 year left if I wanted to come back in Australia or stay. But after that, you were looking at a global talent visa, which you would have to complete 4 years in order to try to qualify for being a citizen. So I think at this stage of my life, it's a step which I'm maybe not willing to take. I feel like there's still opportunities here whereby in my work or representing Ireland. You know, I love the country, I love the weather, I love the people, the bowls. But you know, there's some things you may not enjoy unless you're actually there. It is pretty overwhelming. If you want to be a top bowler over there, you're playing so many days a week. You have to have so much commitment to travel, to put up money for tournaments and things like that. It is rewarding, yes, in terms of it pays your bills. But yeah, there's things over here do it better. The bars,
Absolutely.
the food. So yeah, you know, I'll never discount going back over, maybe living there long term. But at this stage, yeah, I'm pretty happy here.
Yeah, I think you've certainly earned the right to go back there and to play probably at one of the bigger clubs in your own timing. And we've already alluded to your illustrious CV. Drawing things to a conclusion, Adam, in your view, what's your best attribute on the bowling green?
Probably being composed, level-headed. Probably matured a lot since being in Australia. I always was a good drawer. I always had a good singles record. My draw shot's probably my strongest. But going out in Australia, you need to have a drive. So I think I've improved my drive. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with how I play my games now. In terms of singles, you can't get too low because you're both trying to get 21 shots. So it doesn't matter how you get there. If you're 5 or 6 shots down, it's the same goal. So sort of thinking about the game differently. Obviously triples and rinks and pairs, you need different attributes. You need to be a good team member, but it's sort of keeping your head, I think, before, you know, maybe with lost shots because I couldn't get a wick out of my head or maybe fatigue during the game.
Still trying to figure that one out.
Yeah, so definitely composure, I think, is my best attribute.
I will say this from my perspective, that probably in my years of playing, you know, in terms of somebody young coming through, I think I've said this to you, or I've said it about you maybe. In my view, you probably have the best temperament for a young guy that I've seen. You know, you're pretty ice cold. You know, you could survive in the fridge okay. And I mean that as a really strong compliment to you. I have to say that. So, the brain's words of wisdom. What advice would you have for our aspiring young bowlers here in Ireland who wish to follow in your footsteps?
Yeah, so coming back, obviously a lot of things have changed. A lot of people have grown up. There is a lot of young, good quality Irish bowlers. You know, looking at Jaden, looking at Jack Cade, Daniel Spratt. There is up and coming players here. I would just emphasise practicing different lengths. The draw shot is so vital. I can't express that enough. It gets you out of danger so many times. It wins you games. You know, everyone can maybe hit the odd drive or wonder shot, but it's consistency will win you titles. So I would emphasize that. I would say match experience, entering as many competitions as you can. Also using guys like yourself, Ian, I would say experienced players, looking what they do so well. Maybe the dark arts, maybe a loose shoelace, something like that.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so obviously shot selection as well, playing the right shot at the right time. I'll go back to singles. You can lose one. One's not going to hurt you. Usually I very risk adverse in singles. I only maybe try to convert ahead if I know that there's very little risk involved. Pick and choose which times to play the shots. But at the end of the day, if you lose the odd one and you're more consistent, you'll win the game.
Fair call. In sport, Adam, we have many setbacks, disappointments. Is there anything that sticks out in your mind that you've overcome in your career to date and bounced back from?
So I've actually been lucky enough that everything has sort of went well for me in terms of selection. I think the main thing that sticks out would be the inter-association series in the lead up to the games, where I was playing second on a rink. We played the provincials on the Friday night. Colin Hogg, Willie McCaw on form as usual, got us by 6 or 7. None of us played particularly good, and then we played the BLI Saturday morning, Shane Leonard, and he put us down pretty convincingly. Obviously getting the tap on the shoulder to say that,
The infamous tap.
yeah. So this is the first time in my career sort of experienced it. And then being selected for Commonwealth Games, yeah, it affected me pretty highly, I would say. And then coming back from that, getting in touch with Neil, Marty, yourself, Ian, and giving a few words of reassurance. You know, I didn't play my best weekend, I admit that. Looking back on it now, it was probably a good thing. It gave me a lot of, well, humbled me for a start, but it gave me a lot of motivation, I would say, leading up to the games. And being in that sort of dark place, many people have done before, it's hard to go throughout your bowling career without getting dropped, magic word. So yeah, that was main setback. The pressure was sort of, I would say, increased after that. Many people are sort of coming up to you saying what happened. It's not something you really wish to talk about, but yeah, it's looking back on it, maybe wasn't the worst thing that happened to me.
Well, I also have a little bit of insight here this morning. I have with us the previous chairman of the Private Green Selection Committee at that point in time. Adam, interestingly, Chris, just to bring you in here in this scoop, obviously you were to the fore, making the decision to leave Adam off at that particular point in time. Commonwealth Games player, obviously a very difficult decision. I don't doubt that.
Always good of you to put me on the spot, Ian. Thanks very much for that. Yes, I was the man that gave Adam the tap on the shoulder as chairman of the selectors. As you say, it was a very difficult decision. I think along with Adam, we left off the captain of our team as well, Andy Kyle at the time.
Ruthless.
Also a very difficult decision. You say ruthless, probably very unlike the Private Greens of the past. You know, for most people went out and played 3 games. But not an easy decision at all, especially given where Adam was and going to be representing Ireland in the Commonwealth Games. Right or wrong, that's what the selectors come up with. All I'll say is that obviously class is permanent, form is temporary. I think Adam said himself he didn't have his best weekend. Had we been sitting down to pick a Private Greens team again on the Monday following that weekend, both him and Andy would have been part of it. But the decision of selectors at that time was that we should make changes. And whether that was right or wrong is obviously out to everybody to make up their own mind about.
Who won the series?
I think the Private Greens pipped it, and I think you'll remember, I think on the Friday night, you'll recall that Sturdy got a slightly fortuitous shot against you, possibly to get a draw.
He did at Crumlin.
And that, in the end, I think proved that half point is where the Private Greens won.
I do recall that. Stuart Bennett played last bowl of the game, match against him. He's 4 feet wide.
3.5.
3.5 feet wide. It's out towards the string. He comes off the edge of the bowl, comes in and gets a shot. PGL won the series by a shot, and Sturdy makes the famous comment, I was in the area.
It depends how big you call the area.
Exactly.
His weight was good.
Exactly. Adam, advice, or how do we get more people involved in our sport here in Ireland?
So obviously yourself and Chris are doing a lot of good work with the IBF, with academies, which have been recently set up, regional academies, to draw younger people in, even working with schools, you know, getting taster sessions. I think just on trying to back these things up, retaining people, you know, it's great that some school kids can come in for a day or maybe a couple of weeks. It's just trying to make sure they come back for that month or that year, giving them maybe free memberships or free bowls, something to incentivize them. Socializing is a big thing. You know, people want to be among friends. They want to enjoy themselves.
To be made welcome, yeah, of course.
I think clubs and stadiums can maybe add some music to lighten the mood, which has been done at our stadium, I know, and offer, drinks or food for maybe the age group of 30 to 50 is quite key. You know, people who are maybe not committing to a sport but still have free time in their hands and they want to get out of the house and away from work. I feel like you can, from my experience in Australia especially, barefoot bowls, which people can just turn up with no bowling shoes, with no equipment, and go on the green for free and order food, order drinks, albeit the sun helps and the temperatures help, but we can maybe introduce this. And I would just suggest for anyone involved, for anyone trying to get involved, just try to enter as much as you can.
Thank you very much, Adam. Some really good insights there. We move on to our quick fire section. Just to put you on the spot, we're going to ask you a number of questions. The first section is on the perfect Irish bowler. So the bowler that you name has to be born in Ireland. Okay. And obviously, these things I'm going to ask you are what makes up the perfect jack-in-the-box bowler. You're only allowed to name one person once. They can be male or female, as long as they're born in Ireland. So, the best prepared bowler from Ireland that you know. Preparation is key, they say.
If he's on time, Ian McClure.
Okay. Best on the draw shot.
Jeremy Henry.
Best drive.
Toss up between Gary and Marty.
Going to push you in that one.
I'll go Marty McHugh.
Marty McKeown. Best delivery.
Oh, I've used Marty. Best.
You can change if you decide you want to change, you can.
Yeah, we'll go Gary, best drive, best delivery, Marty. I think Marty is the most textbook delivery.
Okay.
It gets it away so clean.
Okay. Best under pressure. This can be club, this can be men, this can
He's
be
all the
ladies.
big names now.
It's your call.
I'll throw Chloe Wilson under pressure. That's
Okay.
when she.
That's when she comes alive.
Yeah.
Okay. Best team person that you've had the pleasure of playing with.
Sean O'Neill.
Okay. Mentality monster.
Oh. Mark McPeak.
Ah, the mouse. Okay. The funniest.
Oh, Sturdy Bennett.
Oh my goodness.
He doesn't know it, but yeah.
Are you sure on that one? Sturdy funny?
Oh my goodness.
He's, yeah.
That's a shock.
We had some laughs in that 4 in the World Championships. Sturdy.
He's very dry.
He is very dry, but he's funny.
I find that funny. Okay. Finally, the best on a night out. Very important Irish element for a perfect bowler.
Well, obviously I'm a bit younger, so I wouldn't know a lot of people, and I've heard a lot of reports. But that aside, I'll go. Oh, Stevie Kirkwood's good crack. Go him.
Go Kirky. Okay, so we'll just recap that very quickly. Best prepared, Ian McClure. Best in the draw, Jeremy. Drive, sharp, technical, Marty McHugh. Under pressure, Chloe Wilson. Team person, Sean O'Neill. Mentality monster, Mark McPeak. Funniest, unbelievable, Stuart Bennett. And best on a night out, Stevie Kirkwood. Chris, you have a bit of a test for Adam before we conclude.
Yes, you only thought that was difficult, so you're now going to give you a wee test. You're obviously nicknamed the Brain, so you've obviously good knowledge of who you've played with and all your past things, but what's your knowledge of bowls in general? So this is called 6 and 60. So you have 6 questions to answer in 60 seconds. Okay, so we'll just ask the question, you give the answer, we'll run on to the next question, we'll look at the answers afterwards. Okay?
The Brain will get all these right, Chris.
So, you ready? Who won the Irish men's outdoor singles title this year?
Davy Copeland.
What's the minimum legal length for a rebounding jack? Just testing it. I thought all bowlers knew all the rules.
Oh, I don't hit it that hard.
Got anything?
18.
18 metres, right. Only once has a clean sweep of all the British Isles indoor men's championships been achieved by the same country in the same year. Can you name the country and the year?
That'll be a guess.
Go ahead.
Scotland or England? It'll be.
Which one?
I'll go England 2018.
Okay. Who was the last man from Ireland to win the British Isles outdoor singles title? And do you know the year?
I'll go. I know Marty's won it a few times.
So we're going with Marty.
Go Marty 2014.
In what year did Gary Kelly last play in the Ireland indoor international team?
Well, I was there.
Yep. Should be easy
I
for
think it was
you.
only 1 year. Was it 2017 in Paisley or 2018? 2017.
2017. And last one. Only 7 men have more than 70 outdoor caps for Ireland. Can you name 5 of them?
We'll go Marty, Ian, Gary McClure.
Easy 3.
Easy 3.
2 of the other.
Corky's been
4.
about for ages, but he's more indoor. I'll go David Corkill and Jim Baker.
Okay. How do we think you did, Ian?
That's not good.
Probably 50%, I would estimate.
Okay.
But maybe I'm wrong.
So Irish outdoor men's singles title, Davy Copeland, we're right in that. Minimum length for a rebounding jack, I think he said 18 metres, 20. Clean sweep the British Isles was England, 2019. I think you played in the rinks possibly that year.
Yeah.
Falcon, I think it was. You were right with Marty. It's the last man to win the British Isles. Very close with the year, 2015. I think you said 2014. And again, Gary Kelly, you debated between 17 and 18. I think you went 17. It was 18. Your 7 men, you're right with the 3, Ian, Marty and Gary. Your other 4, Neil Booth, Noel Graham, Sid Thompson, who's a little bit before your time, and Clifford Craig.
Nelly will thank me there.
Could be in trouble.
So not quite 50%.
Not quite.
But you were put in the spot, and a couple of the years you were very close with, so not bad.
So Adam, thank you very much for coming along. I really appreciate it. Obviously, going forward, you'll be looking towards, I would imagine, the games in 26 in Glasgow.
Yeah, so really happy that that's been confirmed now. Something to look forward to, something that was in doubt for the past few years. I think it's crucial for our sport to get into that company, especially with it being downsized to 10 sports. For bowls to be a mainstay in the Commonwealth Games is pretty special. But going forward, yeah, it's a tricky one, bowls. Obviously, we wanted to be pushed and promoted. I think for the British Isles, we need to take notes from what Australia are doing. You know, we're not a big area. We can all come together. We can maybe introduce a product, push it onto a TV channel, a bit like what the BPL is. Have a venue and a sponsor that can get on board. Maybe won't make money in the first initial years, but can sort of have a long-term vision. There's a lot of things that can be improved, but yeah, it is a sport for all, and you guys are doing a fantastic job with the Paras. That's a really exciting initiative, and the Commonwealth Games, you'll be extremely looking forward to getting the team ready for that. So yeah, thank you guys for the work you're doing, and I look forward to listening in on future podcast episodes.
Well, Adam, on behalf of Chris and I, thank you very much for taking the time. It's been great to have a chat. It's been great to gain some insight to your rise in terms of achieving world status, in terms of being a player, world Commonwealth champion, how you got there, what it feels like, and what your future plans are. Chris, anything to add?
Yeah, no, I would just agree with that. And also, obviously, shortly after this is aired, you'll be taking part, I think it's 4 events you've qualified for in the indoor nationals. So I wish you all the best in that. Ian forced me to make a few predictions, so I think I tipped you in a couple of them, so we'll see how close I am.
Adam, great to catch up.
Thank you very much.
Wow. Well, Chris, how good was that?
Well, to quote Adam himself, unbelievable. For such a young man to have done so much in his career and so many achievements, it's just wonderful.
No, it was pretty insightful, I have to say. I enjoyed that conversation with him, and hopefully our listeners did as well. And there's a number of insights certainly to be gleaned from that. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening to episode 2 of the Irish Bulls podcast, Jack in the Box. Big shout out to Ali Coleman, our technical guru, for all his assistance, help, advice. We'll be back again, Chris.
All being well in the new year.
Happy Christmas and Happy New Year to one and all from the Irish Bulls podcast, Jack in the Box.